Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you. We are talking about seed oils. Have you seen these advertisements? I've seen billboards for Steak and Shake, and this one says fries worth their weight in gold, made with 100% beef tallow. This one is an ad. I'm currently in South Florida, and this has been a billboard, 100% beef tallow, 100% better fries. Now, I've got Dr. Chari, who's an expert on all things related to health, and we're going to talk about, are these fries actually better for you? Is it okay for me to eat French fries as long as they're made with beef tallow? Welcome back to the show, Dr. Chari.
Thank you, Peggy. It's great to be back.
Friends, you know my guest, Dr. Chari. She is an integrative MD. She's got a medical degree. She's licensed to practice medicine in Florida and California. And she specializes in helping you not have to go to the doctor. I'll just put it bluntly. So thank you, Dr. Chari. We're going to dive into seed oils. Is it a lot of hype, or are they really causing harm? Are there some that we can eat or shouldn't eat? Before we get into all of that, let's let the audience know why you're qualified to speak about it. Give us a brief bit of background, if you would.
Sure, Peggy. So again, as Peggy mentioned, my name is Dr. Roopa Chari, and I'm a medical doctor. I practice integrative and functional medicine, which basically means I have a holistic, natural approach to your health and wellness. I address the root causes of what may be causing your symptoms or medical conditions. And then with the natural approach, addressing all aspects of you as a person, nutrition, detoxification, and addressing what specific nutrients you may need. I customize programs for each person because each and every one of us is unique. And I especially focus on women, especially the age over 45, as we're going through hormonal changes and weight to enhance our health and wellness. And again, everything is customized for each person.
Well, thank you, Dr. Chari. I've worked with you individually. I feel fantastic. My sleep is better. Most importantly, my digestion is better. And friends, Dr. Chari does offer a complimentary 15-minute consultation. This is done by phone. So if you just need to get going in the right direction, you're not sure what is causing your sleepless nights or your anxiety or your itchy skin or whatever it is, whatever else it may be, I highly recommend that you take advantage of this very generous offer. This is not a sponsored video. Dr. Chari is a friend of mine as well as a healthy American. So let me answer what's in your mind right now, friends, before we go any further. Dr. Chari is not a part of what I call the mainstream medical merry-go-round. She spoke out against the harms of the protocols during the Cooties Hogwash days. She did not force any of these. She actually educated people to not be carried away by the fear mongering and all of the other, as I call it, the hogwash that was sloshed all over us. So you can rest assured that she is not a human pincushion, and she does not promote that. And you probably have seen some of her previous videos with me. We've talked about detoxing, and today it's all about seed oils. Now, this has been grabbing the headlines, and with the change of the administration in Washington, a lot of people have been celebrating the fact that the Health and Human Services and the FDA and the CDC are telling us that they're going to put our health, ideally it's in our own hands. But a question that comes up is this hot topic about seed oil. So why is it a hot topic? Why are they a problem?
Well, this is a great question, Peggy, and such an important topic because so many people are talking about it now, and especially influencers. And so we need to know, separate fact from fiction so it's not so overwhelming. So the issue with seed oils is not the seeds themselves. It's not all universally harmful, but this is the issue. It's how are they processed and heated? What chemicals are being added to them? And I'm going to go into that today because it's so important for everyone to really understand what's really behind the side effects of these seed oils. And nowadays it's just being added to everything, especially all of the processed foods. So we're getting a lot of these seed oils. And again, it's the processing that's involved with it that is critical to understand. And I'm just going to give everyone kind of an overview summary with fats and oils is that, fats can come from animals, and from the animal sources, there's tallow, there's lard, butter, and then there's plant sources. And from the plant sources, we can get it from the fruits, like in avocados and olives. It can be pressed to get the oils. And then there's the seed oils where literally they take the seed and then process that to get the oils out. And just to let everyone know as well that thousands of years ago, other cultures, whether it's in India and the ancient medical science called Ayurveda, or in Asia, and in other countries around the world for generations and for frankly, thousands of years, they've used seed oils. But again, it's the way that it's processed that is absolutely critical.
That is a huge distinction, and I'm so glad that you pointed it out. And why don't we start with actually defining like what are seed oils? Which are these seeds? Does that include like safflower oil and these things, grapeseed oil? We were told that was really good for you back in the day.
Yes. So seed oils are a type of vegetable oil. Again, vegetable oil is the broad category, but seed oils are the type of vegetable oil where that oil is extracted from the seed itself. And so this can include corn and canola and cottonseed and sunflower and safflower. And there's other oils as well. But these are some of the key ones that we hear a lot about. And frankly, now again, they're in everything. And everyone's saying, oh, omega-6 oils are bad. Everything needs to be in moderation because our ancestors, it said that back in the day they would have a balance of omega-3 fatty acids and omega-6 fatty acids. But because of all of this processing of all of these seed oils, and how they're putting it in all the foods that, majority of masses are eating, we're getting too many of the omega-6s. And so now the ratio, instead of being closer to 1-to-1 of omega-6 to omega-3, it's now almost 15-to-1.
Wow.
And so that is a big, huge distinction. And, Gary Brucka, he's another practitioner, a brilliant man, and he summarized this. And I'm going to take some of the key points of which he stated because I found that to be very fascinating. And I wanted to also mention another very common seed oil is soybean oil. That's pretty much used in everything.
Wow.
So what Gary Brucka had said is it's not the plant, it's what happens from the time the plant gets to the table. And he said that when you put a canola plant through a commercial press, that's one thing, but it comes out very gummy. So to remove that gum, to quote unquote degum it, they use a chemical called hexane. But hexane is a brain toxin, or what they call a neurotoxin. And they also use that hexane to dissolve the oil from the seeds. So that's one process. And so then he says, when you take that neurotoxin degummed oil and then you heat it, then that oil becomes rancid. So that's another problem. And then they deodorize it. And so deodorizing it basically does three things. Unfortunately, it puts cancer-causing chemicals into the oils, which is called carcinogens, cancer-causing chemicals, and it removes other good beneficial antioxidants that are in the oil with this deodorizing process. And the third thing it does is it actually turns the good omega-3 fatty acids into trans fatty acids. And what that means is that oil then becomes very inflammatory. It creates a lot of inflammation in our body, which can lead to a whole host of other health problems. And the
So it's
other
like,
process they use is bleaching,
oh,
which removes
wow.
oils and carotenoids, other important ingredients, which are in oils.
So that's like a quadruple whammy. The processing makes this even worse. And is that just the case of canola oil, or is that for all of the oils?
This goes universally for all of the oils. And that's why they say that, when you go to the grocery store and you look at the aisle where they have all the bottles, all of the oils look like they're the same color
Right.
in essence, right? If the
Yeah.
ones that you can actually see through. And what they say is it's because of all of this processing of everything that, I just mentioned with the bleaching and deodorizing and the heating and all of the processing that goes through so that the oils actually look exactly the same. And that's what Gary Brucker was saying, is that you're not supposed to get that perfect color. He said that if you took 1,000 plants and then you put it through a pressing machine, it's going to be vastly different, all the different types of colors that would come through. So that's the issue. And then all of these chemicals then will then cause a lot of inflammation in the body.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the health problems that these seed oils can cause now that we know how highly processed they are and all of the things that happen through that. So what's happening within our body then?
So some of the issues with all of this inflammation from these seed oils is it can affect our joints. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm starting to get different aches and pains. And they thought, oh, it's just a normal process of aging, but it's not. It's actually because their body is reacting to everything we just talked about. And that inflammatory reaction for them may be showing up as joint pains and aches and muscle aches, and also then hormone imbalances. That's another huge issue. It can also lead to a lot of gut inflammation, as we both speak a lot about how important gut health is. So if the gut is inflamed, we're not going to digest food properly, we're not going to absorb it properly, we're going to get an overgrowth of the bad bacteria, which then leads to a whole host of other problems, including immune system problems. So our immune system can then become underactive or overactive, like in autoimmune conditions. And
Wow.
then it affects our brain. If we're wondering, oh, I'm having all this brain fog, I can't remember why I went in the room, and it causes concern, like, how come I can't remember some certain simple things? But the gut health is also affects our brain health. But all of these oils with all this inflammation can affect our brain health in and of itself and lead to all of these different issues, along with then that inflammation can lead to also diabetes and then heart
Wow.
conditions, heart disease. So yeah, so many conditions.
And what's so sad is people are taking these seed oils thinking that they're healthy, right? Because the media is telling us. And then you're trying to do something good for your health. And in the meantime, causing the inflammation that triggers these other things. Can you help me understand a little more clearly what happens with inflammation in the body? I mean, we've seen swelling, but sometimes you don't see it, right? But it's happening. So what is going on? Is the body trying to protect itself against these invaders? I'm just curious, is it holding on to water, or what's the mechanism that's going on?
Absolutely, Peggy. This is so important. Actually, honestly, without inflammation, none of us would be on the planet. We do need some degree of inflammation
Okay.
because if there's an area that's injured, it's driving blood, it's driving nutrients, it's driving soldiers to the area to help deal whether, there's some infection going on or if repair needs to be taking place in different areas of the body. So it's very important. It's something that is taking place every second of our lives. But the difference is that short term, like, okay, we need some help in this area. That's critical. However, it's like a fire. How we cook food in a flame, it's great. But if that fire starts roaring and then taking over forest and turning to an inferno, that's something else. So what happens is when there is too much inflammation, because the body is seeing, like the fire alarms are constantly going out. It's like, oh my God, something else here and there and here and there. So it's creating a lot of blood flow to the area, but a lot of also inflammatory chemicals are being released by the immune system, which then, yes, it does lead to absorbing more water, retaining more water to kind of dilute the toxins. And also because of the inflammation, we can have swelling, redness, heat. So it's something like inflammation is a good sign that at least we can notice that something is going on. For a lot of people, the inflammation is like at what they call low grade level. It's not really seen or detected until something comes up, like some medical condition or major symptom. And then it's that much more work to put out the fire, so to speak.
Yeah, that is really fascinating. Like if you have a little cut, you're going to bleed a little to clean it out, but you don't want to keep bleeding. So we don't want to have that inflammation be run away. Now, what about people that think, well, you know what, I'm not going to the store and I'm not buying cottonseed oil and I'm not buying soybean oil, I'm not buying canola oil. Do they still need to worry about it? What about people eating out or visiting people's homes? I mean, where are these oils hiding?
Yeah, at this day and age, honestly, Peggy, it's everywhere. So when you walk into a grocery store, aside from the outside of the grocery store where the veggies are and the fresh produce and the meat section, the center aisles are full of processed foods, packaged, prepackaged foods. And I understand the convenience. And this is not an all or nothing world. So, realistically, we're all getting these seed oils and something or the other that we're eating. But in general, when we buy packaged foods, when we're eating at restaurants, because they tend to use seed oils because it's lower cost and they're doing it on higher volume, unless it's an unusual, more mom and pop shop places, restaurants, they tend to use more healthier oils like olive oil, etc., or even butter or ghee in some places, which is clarified butter. So, but it's everywhere. It's in the salad dressings, it's in all the condiments, ketchups, and everything you can think of. And when we look at the label, you're bound to see some type of soybean oil, partially hydrogenated oils, something or other will be in there, sunflower, safflower oils. And again, those are usually very highly processed. So it's not that we can escape it, just like we were speaking about microplastics. We can't
Right.
escape it, but it boils back to really cooking at home as much as possible and using the healthy oils.
Well, we'll talk about that. So, friends, stay tuned. We're going to get some specific tips from Dr. Chari about what we can start doing today regarding these seed oils. But I wanted to just touch once more because we talked about canola oil as an example of how highly processed it is. And you can open a magazine, you go on social media, there's so much telling us that canola oil is heart healthy. So that's not really true, is it?
Well, originally, actually, it has canola oil in its purest form has a good ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s. But here's what happens. They are highly, highly refining it with the entire process that we spoke about before. And it's genetically engineered on top of that.
Oh,
So that's what's happened. And because of all of this processing and being genetically modified, then it becomes a toxic oil.
yeah, that is so interesting. And you also mentioned the cost. So restaurants are using these types of oils because they're less expensive. So what are the healthier oils that you recommend instead of the seed oils?
Definitely. So one thing that I stick to a lot is extra virgin olive oil. And then there's avocado oil.
Mm,
There's grass-fed butter, things that our ancestors were using in the past. Coconut oil. Also we use a lot of ghee, which is clarified butter and absolutely tastes delicious. And then there's tallow as well, and in moderation. And the reason why a lot of people are starting to talk about tallow, and it's so interesting,
there
Peggy,
we
that
are.
you found this billboard there.
Yeah.
And you're going to see this more and more. Now, keep in mind, friends, that most of the fast food places are using all of these seed oils as well. So now it's also a good marketing tactic as well to say, no, we're using beef tallow, because this is what our ancestors, frankly, would fry in as well. And bacon is using, beef tallow also, because beef tallow also has stearic acid, which is a healthy saturated fat, and it's actually good for the skin and heart. Again, it's interesting. It has both monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, which is very interesting. But personally, we use just a lot of extra virgin olive oil, sometimes coconut oil here and there, and then definitely butter and ghee.
So the olive oil and the avocado oil, those are not processed to the same degree that these seed oils are. Is that correct? And they're not
Yes,
genetically modified as well. So
exactly.
before we talk more about this extra virgin olive oil, because a lot of people I think do use that, but I want to ask you the question about the beef tallow fries. It is a marketing position as well. And I'm just concerned that people are going to say, yippee, French fries are healthy now. I mean, they're still fried. So I know you recommend things in moderation.
Exactly. This is my mission in life, is really about, it's not in life in general, as we both speak about with food, especially, everything is, in moderation, but there's no question that at least you're a bit better off with
Yes.
fried and beef tallow compared to the
Right.
oils they were been using all this time.
Well, I will admit, I did have some French fries that were cooked in beef tallow. There's a restaurant that we like to go to. And this is interesting because the waitress came up and she said, we placed our order and she said, I just need to let you know, it's not on the menu, but we have changed to cooking the fries in beef tallow. And not everybody likes that. So I wanted to let you know. Or maybe some people are vegetarian. I guess potatoes are vegetarian. So I said, oh, thanks for letting us know. I did not discern any difference. So for me, in terms of the taste and the quality, it was absolutely fine. But I do want to go back to talking about the extra virgin olive oil and cooking with that, because I've heard that some oils, you can't let them get too high of heat or they start breaking down. If you could clear that up for me and our listeners.
Absolutely. This is another really key important point, because I would talk to my Italian friends, because at that time, many many years ago, they would say, oh, don't cook in high heat with extra virgin olive oil, and they said, no, we do that all the time. So now they're saying that yes, you can cook with extra virgin olive oil on very high heat, up to 356 degrees Fahrenheit, 374 degrees Fahrenheit, and completely fine. And it's so beneficial, the extra virgin olive oil. They say that anywhere from 30 milliliters to 60 milliliters a day, which can come out to about 3 to 4 tablespoons a day. And honestly, I probably eat more than that. And it has so many benefits. It lowers the incidence of invasive cancers by 60%, whether it's breast cancer or even, different gastrointestinal issues and cancers. It also lowers your blood sugar after you eat a meal. It can lower it by almost up to 60%. It's
Wow.
mind-boggling, and nobody really talks about that. And then, with cholesterol, I know that's an entire topic in and of itself, but the quote unquote good and bad cholesterol, but there's a type of cholesterol that gets rancid, and that's called oxidized LDL. And the extra virgin olive oil lowers that number by, can lower it by 80%.
Wow.
So that's really powerful. The health benefits are numerous, and we don't have to be worried about heating it at higher temperatures, which is such a relief.
Well, that is so interesting. Some years ago, I went to hear uh, Sheriff Arpaio from Arizona. I'm in animal rescue and he's into animal rescue as well. And he had to be in his 80s when he was giving this talk to people that were in the animal welfare world. And he said, any questions? Somebody raised their hand and said, Sheriff Arpaio, how is it that you look so young? You're in your 80s. And he said, I basically drink olive oil. And he's Italian. And I do know Italians of a certain age, and it's like they look fantastic. Their skin is fantastic. So I think you're onto something with this extra virgin olive oil. It's good to know that we can cook with it on high heat, and it has all of those health benefits of lowering our cholesterol, lowering blood sugar. That's amazing. So we talked a little bit earlier about the processing of these oils, and you said some of the harms include interfering with our hormones and our metabolism. So, I have a lot of women that listen to this program, and I'd love for you to speak to the women that may be experiencing some hormone imbalances and not realizing. I mean, how do these seed oils affect that?
Absolutely, Peggy. It affects our hormones to a great degree. And you know how we talked about with microplastics, it has, a lot of the fake estrogens, which then can imbalance our hormones. Well, with the seed oils, what can happen is it can raise our inflammation levels to such a high degree, because we're getting too many of the omega-6s plus all of the chemicals, that are processed with all of these oils. So that can interfere with our thyroid function. It can interfere with our blood sugar and cause what's known as insulin resistance. And insulin is a hormone made by our pancreas that helps the sugar get into the cells so that we can make energy. But what happens is when the insulin is knocking on the door of the cell saying, let me in, and the cell is saying, I don't know who you are, because what they call the keyhole or the receptor of the cell is all kind of grimied up with toxins because of all of this inflammation, then our insulin levels go up, our cortisol stress hormone levels go up, and then we put on weight, especially that stubborn belly fat, which is so frustrating and affects our energy, our mood, our overall general health. And then also, again, because of our hormones being balanced, that can affect our sleep and everything else that comes along with this, but our metabolism. And that's another huge frustration. And um, that, and women get frustrated. They say, how come I'm doing all the right things, but this weight is not going away? And that's really important. And also, it will affect how we're able to use cholesterol to make our hormones. It affects that ability as well. So it affects everything.
Well, that is really fascinating about the cholesterol. And I'm wondering if the inflammation itself can show a rise in your cholesterol numbers.
Yes.
That's amazing. So this is like a triple, quadruple whammy that we're trying to be healthy, and the inflammation is driving a lot of these issues. And then the seed oils can be driving a lot of the inflammation. And we want to talk about, you're promising us 3 things that listeners can do. But before we do that, related to the seed oils, I just want to quick remind everybody, I'm going to hop over to your website, Dr. Chari, and then we'll talk about 3 things that we can do. And this is charicenter.com. So friends, Dr. Chari does specialize in holistic, functional, integrative medicine, specifically for women, but she has also helped men. My husband actually got a lot of assistance in terms of some food sensitivities and so forth. So if you are interested, there is a complimentary 15-minute consultation. Imagine being able to speak to a doctor for free. So this is something that she offers to healthy Americans here. And I just wanted to let everyone know, I'll have this link, charicenter.com, in the description box of the video. So I want to make sure that you make a note, everybody, that you can contact Dr. Chari before the spaces fill up and get your questions answered. So the final question I have is, well, what are some of the specific tips? I love that you're always about solutions. You're not about fear mongering. You can bring us all of the information from kind of a medical perspective and your, expertise, but like there are things that we can do. So what are they?
Absolutely. So one of the first questions is asking, how was this oil processed? And again, if you're in the middle aisles of any restaurant, or middle aisles, I should say, of any grocery store, or you're eating fast foods, or just know that yes, you're probably getting these seed oils. Most commonly you would be. So the key then is, just in general, just to be aware. So when you're buying different foods, is to look at the label. That's really important. And also when you're looking at the label, looking for these different seed oils that we were speaking about before, is also to know that if we can't pronounce some of the ingredients in that package, odds are it's not going to be good for our body. That's key. And in general, cold pressed and organic oils are very beneficial. So I had mentioned before some of the key seed oils, which included canola and cottonseed and soybean and safflower and sunflower. But some of the other ones and soybeans, but some of the other oils that are not talked about and there's a reason for this, is like sesame seed oil. Now, again, sesame seed oil has been used for thousands of years in different cultures around the world. And even with sesame seed oil, it's best if it's cold pressed. And even with flaxseed oil or hemp seed oil, it's also very important, that they're cold pressed. And keep in mind with the hemp seed oil and flaxseed oil that you should never add it to anything that's hot. or even warm for that matter, because those oils will go rancid very quickly and then cause more problems. So just to keep that in mind. And like anything in life, ask yourself, am I eating this in moderation? So just keeping that in mind. And the second most important point is, again, to eat at home and cook at home as much as possible. And I know it's not always very practical. We all have busy lives. So when, eat at home as much as possible, cook with these healthy oils that we mentioned today, the olive oil, the butter, the ghee, the coconut oil, avocado oil, you know, cook with these wonderful oils. And when you eat out, see if at all possible that, when you order a salad, that you just, instead of using, the dressing from the restaurants, ask for olive oil and vinaigrette and things of that nature instead of that. And it's absolutely delicious. And then you can always add olive oil to whatever you're eating at restaurants as well. There's so many different workarounds. And then those are the key elements. And I just wanted everyone to be aware of that also, not to be in fear, because we can't avoid it. None of us can avoid the seed oils. They're everywhere. But just having the awareness of the oils, reading the labels, cooking at home with these healthy oils as much as possible. And when you eat out, just adding olive oil here or there to whatever you may be eating in your salads. These small changes, they seem like, oh, it's not that much, but my God, that'll make a huge difference in decreasing the amount of inflammation in your body and your exposure to these seed oils as well.
Well, those are simple things that we all can do. I love that. Just being aware, making better choices with the oils, cooking at home. And if you're eating out, just swap the, prepared salad dressings for just regular olive oil. And, most restaurants will provide that for you. So, well, I feel better. I actually didn't know that much about the seed oils. And, I'm so skeptical about things. I kind of, when everybody was all alarmed, I kind of rolled my eyes and I thought, well, what else can we fixate on? But this is really interesting and it's very helpful because we can minimize those things, especially if we're experiencing, like you said, aches and pains. We're just chalking it up to aging, and it doesn't have to be that way. We should feel good, healthy, vibrant, and we can, thanks to you, Dr. Chari, and your expertise and your generous time to come on the show. I know that in the future, we want to talk about sleep. Oh, there are so many things that we want to talk about. But as we close out this show, any final comments or anything else you'd like to wrap up with?
Absolutely. Peggy, one of the most important points, and that we both speak about all the time as well, is that not all fats are created equal. Not all fats are bad. And it's very important to know that we need these healthy fats and oils. We need it for our immune system. We need it for our skin. We need it for our brain and nervous system. We need it for our hormones. We need it for every function in our body. It almost literally acts like a lubricant as well. And these healthy fats also are very soothing and healing for our gut, which is, for most of us is inflamed just because of all the toxins we're exposed to. So that these points are very critical, and we need it for, in addition to our hormones, our cells, the cell wall or the outside coating of our cell is made of cholesterol. And they say actually it's the coating of our cell, the cell wall, that is the actual brain of our cell. So this is how important healthy fats and oils are. So don't be afraid of them. Use them. It's just the right amounts and the right types of oils. That is the most critical.
Well, that's what I want to talk about in a future show, is all about cholesterol, because that's another one of those sort of realms where people get on the medical merry-go-round with their doctor, and then before you know it, they're relying on products and things that aren't really remedies. So let's definitely do a show on that coming up. I think a lot of people are going to learn about that. It's not the boogeyman that we're told. And it was so interesting, you mentioned in the show too that cholesterol is needed to create hormones. I think that's what you said. Yeah, in the manufacturing of hormones. And I think vitamin D as well. We need that, the cholesterol for our vitamin D. So many of us are deficient or, have low levels of that. So we definitely will talk about cholesterol in an upcoming program. Friends, join me in thanking Dr. Chari for her generous time. I'm so grateful that we have an expert that we can rely on to clear through the clutter and the confusion out there, because that can often lead us, I call it the spin cycle. We want to get out of the spin cycle. We can think clearly and rationally about these health concerns that we have and move ahead in our life with confidence. So put butter on your green beans this evening and put olive oil on your salad. And for heaven's sakes, eat an avocado. That sounds good to me. Also, go to Dr. Chari's website, charicenter.com. You have a complimentary 15-minute consultation awaiting you to get your questions answered. She'll direct you on the path where you need to go. And I want to thank you so much, Dr. Chari, and I look forward to seeing you next month. We're doing these monthly get-togethers to make sure that everybody can get all of the information that they need in a non-hyped up manner. So I do really appreciate that. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Take care, everybody.